Good morning.
Good morning.
How's the mic? Good? Yes? Welcome to the beloved community at River of Grass. With help of the our Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are delighted to have you here on this beautiful South Florida morning. I'm Diane Diaz, and I serve this congregation wherever they need stuff done. Most of the time, some of the time, anyway. Our worship leader this morning is Carson Wallace, Director of Faith Development. Today's service is our annual Faith Development service. We celebrate our growth as Unitarian Universalists. Our children and youth will assist with this service. If you wish to follow along, you can scan the QR code on the screen or go to riverofgrassuu.org and click on Order of Service in the home page.
We welcome our visitors this morning and hope you'll stay for coffee after the service so we can get to know you. And if you haven't already, please stop by our welcome table to let us know how to stay in touch with you.
We open wide our doors and our hearts to you as you are, as we come together on this journey of transformation for ourselves and our world. May our sacred time together today be one of caring, courage, transformation, and a call to action.
When I was a little kid, not so long ago, I had to learn a lot of things I really didn't know. How to dress myself, tie my shoes, how to jump a rope, how to smile for a picture without looking like a dope. But of all the things I learned, my favorite of them all was the little poem hanging on the kindergarten wall. Of all you learn here, remember this to best. Don't hurt each other and clean up your mess. Take a nap every day, wash before you eat. Hold hands, stick together, look before you cross the street. Remember the seed in the little paper cup. First the roots grow down, then the seeds grow up. Roots grow down and the plant grows up. It was first, second, third grade, fourth grade too. I had to learn the big things the big kids do. How to add, subtract, and multiply, to read and write and play, how to sit in a little uncomfortable desk for nearly half the day. But of all the things I learned, the greatest of them all is my favorite little poem on the kindergarten wall. Of all you learn here, remember this the best. Don't hurt each other and clean up your mess. Take a nap every day, wash before you eat. Hold hands, stick together, look before you cross the street. Remember the seed in the little paper cup. First the root grows down, then the plant grows up. Lately I've been worried as I look around and see an awful lot of grown-ups acting foolish as can be. I know there's lots of things to learn I haven't mastered yet. Still it seems it's real important stuff that grown-ups soon forget. I know we'd all be better off if we could just recall that little poem hanging on the kindergarten wall. Of all you learn here, remember this the best. Don't hurt each other and clean up your mess. Take a nap every day, wash before you eat. Hold hands, stick together, look before you cross the street. Remember the seed in the little paper cup. First the roots grow down, then the plant grows up.
At Rivergrass, it's our mission to nurture our spirit's love intentionally and create a just and healthy planet. Our congregation was intentionally named to lift up the place in which we reside, the life-giving Everglades, ancestral lands of the Tequesta-Calusa people, whose memory we honor today. The Miccosukee tribe of Indians of Florida and the Seminole tribe of Florida are the present-day stewards of these ancestral lands. May we strive to live by their example for living in community with the land and her people. Before we move into today's service, let's take a moment to greet those who have come to worship alongside us this morning.
Good morning.
Oh, I just realized your necklace, a chalice, that's cool. That's so cool. Okay. I wish I could do this. No, let everybody. Okay, simmer down, everybody, simmer down. I wish I could. Thank you. Woohoo. Okay. And now let us pause and breathe together as we enter into sacred space and connect with the holy by any name and the light of love within us all.
Welcome to this community of seekers, of questioners, and of those open to the revelation that comes from experience with one another and the sacred of life. May we remember that while we have some answers, we don't have all the answers. While we know some things, we don't know everything. And while we have lived, others have experiences very different from our own. Welcome to this community full of questions and possibilities. And let us begin by singing and rejoicing together.
I seek the spirit of a child, the child who beats like 100 men, the child who sings the world alive and gets the morning sun with me. Children are real ground I see yours, a gift to my heart.
The flaming chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition, a beacon of religious liberty shining through generations. Now ours to hold high. Let us join our voices together with these chalice-lighting words and hand motions. We'll show you how.
To celebrate Unitarian Universalism. Here we have open minds. Here we have loving hearts. Here we have helping hands. Together we care for our planet and work for peace and friendship in our world. Thank you.
In the light of love, let us renew our covenant as we say together, love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta congregación y el servicio su ley principal. Esta es nuestra gran promesa. Y juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en este amor, amarnos mutuamente.
We sustain and strengthen this beloved community and its work in our world through the gifts of our time, skills, love, and our money. Each Sunday, 50% of our undesignated offerings go to Life Net for Families, which provides meals, clothing, support for those in need here in Broward County. The remainder supports our mission and ministry at River of Grass. Scan the QR code or text the number on the screen. Is it there? Please join us in singing these words by the Reverend Rebecca Parker.
I believe we're going into the offering now. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Thank you for these generous gifts.
Source of love and deep questioning. You move in the restless parts of us that ask, what else is true? Thank you for the spark that keeps us from going numb, for the inner tilt of the head and the heart that reminds us to look again. Awaken in us a curiosity that is kind, not cruel, that seeks understanding rather than judgment, that can say, I don't know, without shame. When habit narrows our vision, widen it. When cynicism hardens our hearts, open them with wonder. Let our days be filled with small discoveries and our lives shaped by learning that never ends. Amen, and blessed be. Okay. Today's wisdom tale comes to us from Ghana, West Africa. It's an Anansi the spider tale. Anansi loves to spin a tale. He can regale you for hours with stories full of wonder, stories full of fun, stories full of facts, too. Because he is so curious and a little nosy, Anansi knows almost everything about almost everybody. Almost. But Anansi has to know everything. So one day, he goes to the house of the sun god. Oh, mighty sun god, you see everything and everyone. Won't you share your great wisdom with me? I'll use it wisely to spin tales of wonder and fun for everyone. The sun god says, Anansi, I will put all the wisdom in the world here in this clay pot. You must share this wisdom with everyone. Anansi promises to do so. But if you've heard an Anansi story before, you know he doesn't always keep his promises. Anansi takes the pot home. He looks deep into the clay pot, and sure enough, he sees sights he's never seen before. He hears sounds he's never heard before. This is too good to give away. I will keep this great wisdom for myself, thinks Anansi. I must hide it, he says, and he looks around for a good hiding place. Anansi decides to climb to the top of the tallest tree. There he will tie up the clay pot, and the leafy branches will hide it. He starts climbing the tree, holding the pot in front of him. The climbing is hard. You ever climbed a tree while holding a pot? Anansi wishes he had 9 limbs instead of just 8. His youngest daughter is outside and sees what a hard time Anansi is having.
Father, it would be easier if you tied your pot to your back. Then all of your limbs will be free for climbing.
Do you think Anansi is happy to get good advice from his daughter? Think again. She is right. That would be easier. Why is it some young pup thinks of this when I, who possess all the wisdom of the world, did not? Anansi gets so angry that he throws the pot to the ground, and all the wisdom of the world comes flowing out of the pot. Some falls here, some falls there. No one gets all the wisdom, but everyone gets some. This is why, even today, wisdom is everywhere. If you listen to the stories spun from storytellers all around the world, you will hear it. Let's give a hand to Clara. So many moving parts today. Angus Hector McLean, Universalist minister, theological school professor, and dean, played a major part in reshaping the philosophy and practice of religious education within the Universalist and Unitarian denominations during the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. McLean's academic career stretched from 1924 until 1960, first an instructor at Columbia University Teachers College, then as professor of religious education, and then dean at the Theological School of St. Lawrence University. In addition to earned degrees from McGill and Columbia, he received honorary doctorates of divinity from 3 Universalist and Unitarian schools, Tufts, Meadville, and St. Lawrence. Through his teaching, writings, and speaking engagements, McLean became recognized as one of the leading religious educators in the liberal religious movement. His views on education and religion are well reflected in his writings. The New Era in Religious Education, published in 1934, promoted a child-centered, experience-centered, rather than a biblical-centered approach. The method is the message. First delivered in 1951 and republished in 1962, was a milestone address, asserting that how religion is taught is more important than what is taught. Following his retirement from the deanship, McLean accepted a call as Minister of Religious Education at the First Unitarian Church of Cleveland in Shaker Heights, Ohio. It proved a fitting and fulfilling capstone to his career. After his death, Max Kapp, his successor as dean at St. Lawrence, offered the eulogy. In it, Dean Kapp aptly focused on Angus McLean's contribution as a religious educator. His quiet and humble demeanor concealed a dynamic and courageous creativity, which made him an outstanding leader in introducing the new religious education. He was a champion of the spiritual rights of children and a wise interpreter of the liberal spirit to their parents. This is our heritage. In 1971, the Alumni Association of the St. Lawrence Theological School established the Angus H. McLean Award for excellence in the field of religious education. Since then, it has been presented annually at the Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly. This year's recipients are Kathy Segal and Leah Derlin-Jones. Kathy Segal is an adjunct professor of UU Faith Development at Harvard Divinity School and a leader of the Liberal Religious Educators Association Life Member Chapter. She also served as a 2023 member of the UUA's Presidential Search Committee, a president of Liberal Religious Educators Association, and a religious educator for 30 years at First Unitarian Church in Providence, Rhode Island. In the fall of 2025, Kathy wrote an article for the UU World magazine titled, "Intentional, All Ages Faith Engagement More Crucial Than Ever for Spiritual Health." Why lifelong religious education helps Unitarian Universalists face the evolving challenges of this moment. In it, she states, intentional faith engagement for all ages is now more crucial than ever to the challenges of to the spiritual health of our people and our world. In response to the rise of extreme and cruel actions happening in the United States and beyond, there is a real hunger for spiritual nurturing and strong community action. I believe Unitarian Universalism can be the place that answers those cries. The living covenantal tradition of our faith is well worth spreading to current and future generations amidst intractable societal challenges, including white supremacy, climate change, disease, fascism, family stresses, and inequality. We are all called to teach, preach, practice, and live our shared values with love at the center, widening our circle of concern. Prioritizing intentional faith formation for all ages is more crucial than ever to the spiritual health of our people as change makers in our world. Reverend Leah Derlin-Jones serves as the Minister of Faith Development at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville, Virginia. A birthright UU, Leah grew up in the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Lubbock, Texas, and has fond memories of her own religious education experiences and the RE teachers from her childhood. Having grown up in the church, Leah knows firsthand the life-saving power in UU Youth and Young Adult Ministries. A graduate of the University of Texas at Austin Humanities Program, Leah's course of study and undergraduate thesis focused on women's spirituality. A foundational part of her own young adult years include included an internship at the Unitarian Universalist Association in Boston as a youth program specialist. Leia's primary focus at UUCville is with the Lifespan Faith Development Program for children, youth, and adults, developing opportunities for lifelong learning. Leia has also served as a leader in Liberal Religious Educators Association, we call that LREDA, as a mentor and coach to other UU religious educators, and as a guest preacher in other UU congregations. She has led workshops and trainings for the UUA on UU identity, the philosophy of UU religious education, faith development, and family ministry. She has been an editor of UUA curriculum materials and co-author of the UUA's Family Minister Training. We will celebrate Leia and Kathy at General Assembly this June. In Kathy Segal and Leia Derlin-Jones, we find our hope.
I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place with my own two hands, make it a kinder place with my own two hands, with my own two hands. I can make peace on earth with my own two hands. I can clean up the earth with my own two hands. I can reach out to you with my own two hands, with my own two hands, with my own two hands. I'm gonna make it a brighter place with my own two hands, make it a safer place with my own two hands. Gonna help the human race with my own two hands, with my own two hands, with my own two hands. I can hold you with my own two hands, and I can comfort you with my own two hands. But you've got to use your own two hands, 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 with our own two hands.
Nicely done. Today's message begins with a piece of a sermon by the Reverend Scott Alexander, who writes, "It was still dark that morning in 1942 when the Gestapo rousted from bed the Jews of Babowa, a Polish village. In the confusion, 12-year-old Samuel Oliner slipped away and hid on a roof, still in his pajamas. The next afternoon, when he dared to look around, the ghetto was silent. The Jews of Babowa by then were lying in a mass grave in the nearby countryside. Samuel found some clothes in an empty house and, skirting German patrols and Polish looters, fled to the country. There, after walking for 2 days, he found his way to the farmhouse of Balwina Pisach, a peasant woman who had been friendly with his family. Mrs. Pisach knew, when Samuel knocked on the door, that she would be shot if the Germans found her harboring a Jew. But without hesitation, she took Samuel in. Balwina taught Samuel the rituals of Polish Catholic life, how to go to confession, how to pray the catechism. With her help, Samuel posed as an impoverished Polish stable boy in search of work and a place to live. Thus it was that Samuel Oliner survived the war. It is with this moving story that a recent New York Times article on what makes for human goodness began. Clearly, it was Mrs. P. such uncommon and courageous goodness which snatched this young Jewish boy from certain death. By some estimates, as many as 200,000 Jews, like Samuel Oleiner, were saved from the Nazis by good-hearted, non-Jewish rescuers. Now a group of social scientists is reaching, as they put it, into the cauldron of good and evil that was World War II to study those exemplars of human goodness, to see if there are any common identifiable characteristics among those brave and beautiful people who altruistically risked everything to save others. The director of this project, you might be interested to know, is an eminent sociologist from Humboldt State University in California, a man by the name of Samuel Oleiner. We want to find the common threads among the few who helped, Oleiner writes. We want to know the differences between the rescuers and those others who might have helped but chose to look the other way. He and his research team already have interviewed 140 of what another author has called the righteous Gentiles, and are racing against the clock to reach more of these good souls before they die of old age all over Europe. But Dr. Oleiner's project on the sources of human compassion and altruism has been able to establish some preliminary conclusions about the characters of those who selflessly helped. What the sociologists generally found is that most of those who bravely hid Jews from Hitler's final solution share two personal characteristics. Can you go to the next slide, Kathy, please? Thank you. First, these were people with a strong sense of personal self-worth. And secondly, they all had a clear set of compassionate human values learned in childhood. It should not surprise us that these rescuers of humanity share a strong sense of personal worth and security, for doesn't it make perfect psychological sense that generally speaking, one has to feel good about one's own self before one is able to express much goodness toward others? This, of course, is not a new idea. For well over 2,000 years ago, Jesus framed his enduring gospel of human responsibility and goodness this way: love your neighbor as you love yourself. Even in his primitive pre-psychological age, Jesus seems to have intuitively understood that love and respect for self is the spiritual prerequisite for love and respect directed toward others. And this truth leads us to the next point the sociologists studying the sources of human goodness have made. People who have shown themselves to be uncommonly altruistic universally had childhoods made secure by warm and nurturing parents. Adults who, though through their generous expressions of love, helped these individuals to feel positive about themselves and safe in the world. And this, too, makes utter psychological sense to us, doesn't it? For surely it follows that if our parents pass on to us a strong sense of our own personal worth and dignity, that we will naturally be inclined to confirm and celebrate the human worth and dignity of others from that core of happy wholeness and health. And thus we arrive at a truth for all adults that is as important as it is obvious. If we want our children and the next human generation to act compassionately and respectfully toward one another, we must show them, by the living example of our thoughts, words, and deeds, that they are loved and respected. The only way our young truly learn that human beings deserve to be treated gently and humanely is by receiving that decent treatment themselves. It seems obvious from these studies that if we are to have a better world, where people are spontaneously treated with compassion and concern, we must first and foremost instill in our children an appropriate sense of their own self-worth, dignity, and value. So all of these diverse insights and the genesis of goodness in individual human beings says, give or take, the same thing. Children pick up compassionate values for adulthood by seeing those values lived out by their adult caregivers. And they must be modeled, not just mouthed, if they are to really become enduring realities in the personalities of the young. It's that simple. And so all of us who ever touch the lives of children, and that is all of us, for parenting is a responsibility in which all adults share, must realize the power and importance of our everyday example. More than what we say we believe is how we live, how good and loving we are to other human beings who share this journey called life with us, that has a large and lasting impact on those young folks who are so scrupulously watching. And now my words. Like many of you, I have a passion for social justice, and I've always had a passion for working with children. I see these two passions as intricately intertwined, helping our children and youth to develop a strong sense of themselves, to see themselves as powerful and worthy beings, to share and model the values we hold dear and guide them into embodying those values is the ultimate form of social justice in action. It's just playing the long game. So knowing how critical our own actions are in creating compassionate little humans who will grow up to help fulfill our dreams of a more compassionate and just world, how do we not choose to invest in them? Our value of equity reads that we declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. But a declaration is not enough. In the month of June, our spiritual theme is flourishing together. Yes, I know tomorrow is when June begins, but bear with me. Let us remember that we have an obligation to each other, to all of us of every age, to embrace and nurture the dignity and worthiness inherent in us all, but most especially in our children who are just coming into their own being. In the June issue of The Atlantic, former Jeopardy contestant Drew Gaines shares with the reader how to win in Jeopardy. Essentially, he says, you need to be a curious child, soaking up small bits of information about many things. If you were not a curious child, you need to act like a curious child. His study method included checking out children's nonfiction books from the library. Imagine this Jeopardy answer. The first unmanned spacecraft on Mars. And the question is, what is curiosity, Alex? Yes, we love our children's books here at the River, too. Because faith development is all we do. Sure, we have explicit curriculum that is planned and shared by trained adult guides, but our children also learn from the implicit curriculum that is absorbed by these little sponges who don't miss a beat. They learn graciousness and kindness when they make their way through the hospitality line, or when they're sung out to class by loving voices, or when adults choose to spend a part of their Sunday mornings with them. They learn that we all play a role in helping the river flow when they take part in our worship services and all aspects of community life. One Sunday when worship ran long and our class ran short and there was no one to set up the hospitality table, they didn't hesitate for a moment to put out the treats and take on the responsibility of hosts because they know that they are part of the village. And don't forget the null curriculum. What we choose not to teach matters too. Some of us were taught as children that we were to be seen and not heard, or that not seeing us was even better as we spent our time in segregated spaces or had to act like adults in the adult space. As a young girl who was a part of a youth group tasked with monthly cleaning of the sanctuary, I was taught that there were spaces that were too sacred for a girl to even clean. There are many negative messages that we learned as children that are not taught here. So what are some specific things that our children and youth learned this year? I'll let them tell you.
I learned that I'm a storyteller.
I learned that I'm a builder and a visionary.
I learned that differences make us beautiful.
I learned that people are being held in cages in alligator Alcatraz, and vigils are a way to keep hope alive for them.
I learned that equity is when everyone wears the shoe that fits them best.
I learned how to use a compass and that our heart center can act like one.
I learned that people with traditional clothing should be honored as worn, not as a
I learned that racialized bullying happens in school and we can be allies with those being targeted.
I learned that sometimes even the people we love can express stereotypes, and there are always ways we can help them to do better.
I learned that it's better to celebrate Indigenous People Day than to lift up to the colonizers.
I learned that Black Lives Matter the moment and how it helps people to treat others more kindly.
I learned that being a shepherd is not nearly as exciting as being a Grinch.
The Grinch is such a good rule. I learned that protests can be very empowering.
I saw generosity in action when selling raffle tickets at the auction.
I learned doing new things could be scary, but new friends make it easier.
I learned that being a child slider is a big responsibility, but it feels good to be part of the community.
Thank you. Beautiful job. One of the things our kiddos learn is that as a faith, we value learning for our whole lives. Stephanie Nichols will now share with you what she learned this year. Well, I hope you are all familiar with the Mosaic program that was conducted in the spring by Karen. It was, how would you describe the curriculum for those people who might not know it? Okay, anti-racism. There you go. Did you hear that? Anti-racism training. So when I was asked to give the testimony about the Mosaic program, can you all hear me? Okay. I thought about authors who I've heard say that in the process of writing their memoirs, memories of long ago scenes and conversations came back to them. This is what I experienced reflecting on the Mosaic program. The more I remembered, the more I remembered. And the more I remembered, the more I realized just how much I had benefited from the Mosaic program. Let me explain. I was raised middle class in a staunchly blue household in Boston. My dad was a Greek immigrant and my mother was first generation. I guess you could say we were Kennedy liberals, dyed in the wool. We sided with the oppressed, the discriminated against, the underprivileged, a word you don't really hear that much anymore. As I came of age in the early 1970s, I felt pretty good about my political beliefs and my cultural and social identity. I believed I was on the right side, the politically correct side, of the burning issues of the day. I was against racism, sexism, the Vietnam War, imperialism. This also applied to my reaction when, as a young adult, a black teenager violently assaulted me. In its aftermath, I made a conscious effort not to allow the experience to negatively affect how I viewed and approached black men in the future. This self-monitoring also made me feel good about myself. However, at some point, things changed. I can't tell you when. I mean, we can go to ChatGPT and maybe they can tell us. But at some point, I started not to feel good about myself. I started to feel that at least some sector of society was telling me that I was not good, that being liberal was not enough, that white privilege blinded me to my hidden biases and my unfair advantages. This confused me and at times paralyzed me and filled me with guilt. I didn't know how to be a white, heterosexual, middle-class person, worse still, a baby boomer, without putting a foot wrong. And I didn't know how much I needed the Mosaic program until I sat there
and I listened, and I shared my experience with others. For the past 2 years, I have tutored second graders in reading at a Pompano Beach elementary school. The students are mostly Black and Latino. Watching my fellow tutors reading with these children of color, every one of the tutors a middle-class white person, I had many times felt discomfort and guilt. In one mosaic session, though, I was introduced to a different perspective, the view that I have an opportunity to use my privilege to make a positive impact on a child's life. This felt revelatory to me and a relief. In the other mosaic session I attended, we addressed the initiative Defund the Police. The slogan itself is probably more controversial than its underlying proposals, such as using mental health clinicians instead of police to respond in certain circumstances. We learned about a successful such pilot program now underway in Oregon. In that session, I also learned from a fellow attendee a powerful response to people who say all lives matter as a counter-argument to Black Lives Matter. You all probably know what I'm about to say, and I'm always late to these things. It's the bumper sticker, beware of motorcycles analogy. That is to say that all drivers certainly deserve our care and attention, but motorcyclists are uniquely more vulnerable, so perhaps they deserve a little bit more of our care and attention. Learning that response all these years later was invaluable to me. I look forward to using it on certain members of my extended family who are no longer blue. What I learned in my 2 mosaic sessions was not that it was bad that I had felt good about myself, but that it's better to be goodish. Goodish is a term I learned in our mosaic readings. It was coined by the social psychologist Dolly Chugh. Being goodish means we are open to growth and we are still evolving. I thank Karen and my fellow mosaic attendees for giving me the opportunity to grow in a safe, open, and welcoming space. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. And let's see, where are we here? Theo, are you? Yes. So Theo would like to share what he learned this year while being one of our teacher guides.
Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing? I wanted to start my testimony with a confession. I did not join Faith Development on purpose. I just like coloring a lot. So I ended up sitting with the kids a lot, and we had some lovely conversations, and so Karen thought that I might make an okay teacher. But I am a very firm believer that when we talk with kids, we're just talking with small people. So I do talk to them like they're competent and reasonable adults, just slightly smaller and maybe a little bit. You're on your way. You're getting there. I believe in you. But yeah, so we have conversations, and conversations with all people tend to have a natural flow. Somebody brings up a topic, somebody else might disagree, and then you guys flow down the river as the more things come up, and eventually the goal is always to develop a sort of mutual understanding of the world that's bigger and more whole than what you had before you guys started talking with each other, which is how I like to approach teaching too. I think that that's a great way to do it. And it's a little weird because sometimes you have a conversation, you don't immediately start making connections. You may not make them until later that day around dinner, or the next day after you've had a full night's sleep, or weeks or years later when something else happens that like brings it back to mind. Yeah, it's not linear, but it's like a river. I like this river analogy a lot. It was really vibing with me. Sometimes, you drop a leaf in a river and it immediately shoots down the river and you all of a sudden have a big breakthrough. But sometimes you drop a leaf and it sort of goes and eventually it makes its way there. But I love teaching the kids because we have a lot of these great conversations, and I'm learning just as much as they are about what life and morality and things, and it's a lot of fun. We're all on a journey together. And I also don't like lectures very much, just because I don't think you can learn like morality and spirituality from a lecture. It has to be something that you do yourself, developing critical thinking. I can't do that for you, so I'm not going to lecture them. So we have a lot of conversations like that to build connections between things. And I have to say, I really kind of love our 6 values with love at the center now. At first, I wasn't thrilled about it because I loved the 7 principles. They're very pretty and poetic. But I love these 6 values: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. What does that spell? Thank you. I love them because they're open-ended. And so they're a great jumping off point for these conversations. And we can just go wherever the conversation takes us and make connections that way. And so it's been a lot of fun. I've had a great time this last year. And thank you guys for being so much fun to teach.
I have this dream that we're going to get a new minister, and that part's already coming true. and because of that, some of us met Reverend Nick last night, and trust me, he's a gem. And he's going to help us bring more families into our congregation. And that dream then somewhat turns into a nightmare. Not only do we need more space, yes, but we also need more teachers. So Theo, we lost one of our teachers this year, and Theo and Diane and Mindy spent much more time in the classroom and missing worship services than they maybe intended to or hoped to. I do need to say that Barbara Ratchford was also one of our very lovely, wonderful teachers, and we certainly miss her in the classroom too. So anyway, if you think you might want to be a fellow learner in a classroom with the little ones on some Sundays, please see me after service and we can talk about it. It's not very hard. You just need to show up and love them. Oh, Diane and Mindy, speaking of my teachers, and Theo, would you please come up? We want to thank you and recognize your dedication. As we go out into the wider world, may curiosity never let us escape from its clutches. May we not rush to solve every mystery that comes our way. Instead, let us revel in the riddles, hold tight to the head scratchers, and embrace every enigma that crosses our path. For it is only these impertinent puzzles which help us remember that our answers are never complete, and it is the questions that make us whole.
We want to thank Miss Karen, for all of her inspiration, dedication, creativity, and we are all so grateful. It's just such a pleasure and an excitement to be a student at River of Grass. So with us was our little art project, which you can see this beautiful banner, which, by the way, was lettered by Susan Scatch-Bejarano. And it says, "What we learned this year." And so we had each of them make a little prayer flag talking about what they learned this year. And I was going to have them talk about that, except that in the course of our service, everything that and weren't our kids amazing between their signing and talking about what was important to them and about their values and what they did learn this year. So you'll see all that on the flag. So it does not need to be repeated. But again, we are incredibly grateful the teachers I know to be part of this faith development program. And thank you, Karen, for another great year. So, yeah, it's good. What we'll do is, in case you want to look at it, we're going to stretch it out on the long table in the office, and you can just stop and take a look at all those great flags.
Okay, well, hard to follow that. At River of Grass, we offer many ways to live our Unitarian Universalist faith in action. You'll find them in our weekly email, our Facebook page, and website, riverofgrassuu.org. And here are some of the upcoming opportunities to fulfill the mission and vision of this congregation and other announcements for the life of this beloved community. Oh, yeah. We need nursery caregivers. I really know that. And to apply, please reach out to personnel at riverofgrassuu.org. May or may not include housekeeping. Whatever it includes, it's not that bad, believe me. Oh, alligator Alcatraz. The detested, I love it, the detested immigration detention center polluting our Florida Everglades is due to shut down in June. Yes. But the interfaith prayer vigils will continue to take place every Sunday, 4 to 5, at the Big Cypress National Preserve for as long as a single inmate remains. When we have a group to carpool, we'll meet at River of Grass, 2:15, depart at 2:30. And please contact Andy Bunce or Susan Scotch Bejarano, okay, for details. June 7th is Flower Communion Sunday. Oh, bring a flower to share for each member of your family. Okay. Don't pluck anything off Karen's. Oh, yeah. We all like to have a little something during hospitality with our coffee and tea. But first, somebody has to bring it. Please sign up to share the homemade goodies you create or buy. It's all appreciated. Sign-ups in hospitality, and see Ellie Keene or email ellie.keene19@gmail.com. Is that it? I guess. Well, okay, I guess I get to invite you. Please stay for coffee and treats and conversation. Okay.
I forgot to print out the announcements. Diane did a fabulous job without anything written in front of her. All right. We have wandered together for a little while. Now the wider world awaits with its own riddles and revelations. Walk gently, listening for the quiet what if beneath the noise of our everyday lives. May curiosity keep your spirit open and your heart wide until we meet again. Shine on.